David is Israel's most famous king and arguably most important. While having achieved almost instant glory by single-handedly slaying a 9-foot-tall giant named Goliath, he also united the tribes of Israel into one nation and secured its borders from all its enemies, beginning a period of peace and prosperity that would last 80 years and 2 generations. He was also instrumental in organizing religious worship, writing at least 73 of the Psalms in the Bible, and preparing the way for the first temple to be built by his son Solomon after David's death. But even more significant was the unwitting role David played in prefiguring the coming Messiah, the final king of Israel. Psalm 41:9. Even my close friend, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted his heel against me. Near the end of his reign, David was betrayed by his trusted advisor Ahithophel and even his own beloved son Absalom, who together conspired to kill David and take over his kingdom. Similarly, Jesus would be betrayed by Judas, one of the 12 disciples, a man Jesus trusted with the common purse, a man he ate bread with and lived with for 3 years. Mark 14:18. As they were reclining at the table and eating, Jesus said, "Truly I say to you that one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." David's connection to the suffering Messiah goes even deeper. Although David was just a young man when he was first anointed by the prophet Samuel to be the next king of Israel, it would be years before he actually took the throne. King Saul wanted his own son, Jonathan, to be king, and so he hunted David throughout Israel, surrounding him on several occasions. It was only through divine providence that David managed to escape Saul's wrath. But even in David's old age, long after Saul's death and David's crowning as king, David would face certain death once again, being surrounded by his son Absalom's army. Little did he know it, these dire circumstances would lead David to write one of the most amazing prophecies in the Bible. Psalm 22:16. For dogs encompass me, a company of evildoers encircles me. They have pierced my hands and feet. David could not have known at the time, but he was describing the exact circumstances that the Messiah would face, as well as the exact method of execution he would endure, namely crucifixion. Luke 23:33. When they came to the place that is called the Skull, they crucified him there with the criminals, one on the right and the other on the left. John 20:27. Then he said to Thomas, "Reach here your finger and see my hands. Reach here your hand and put it into my side. Don't be unbelieving, but believing." In 1968, the heel bone of a crucified man named Yehohanan, son of Haggakol, was found in a Jerusalem ossuary dating to the 1st century AD, confirming that crucifixion by piercing the hands and feet to a cross was a common means of Roman execution at the time of Christ. Way back 1,000 years before Jesus, David made another provocative statement about the resurrection that must have baffled his contemporaries. Psalm 16:10. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. David could not have been talking about himself, because we know he did die. His body did decay, and his dry bones were mingled with those of his ancestors in the famous Tomb of the Kings in Jerusalem, as Luke explained in Acts 13:36-37. For David, after he had in his own generation served the counsel of God, fell asleep, was laid with his fathers, and saw decay. But he whom God raised up saw no decay. Inspired by the Holy Spirit, David was prophesying not about his own body, but about the body of Jesus, the Messiah, which would not suffer decay, but would rise from the grave. And that through this body that was sacrificed for us, we could all be saved from death. Messianic prophecy isn't just amazing, it's a miracle.
If you'd like to see more Christian content on YouTube, why not subscribe and watch the next one.